This episode of Vic's Basement is brought to you by Sony and the PlayStation 4. Greatness awaits. Welcome to my basement, everybody.
Victor
Hey,
Lucas,
Scott Jones.
I'd like to take this moment to welcome you to your own basement.
Oh, I love my basement.
It's kind of weird being welcomed to your own basement.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you spend a lot of time down here over the holidays?
I do, but I need other people's perspective on how amazing
decorating?
No, I never decorate.
Should we decorate?
No, I open some action figures. It does feel good to do that. I put.
You're not supposed to open them. I learned that from 40-year-old virgin.
Fuck that. You got to open the action figures and you got to enjoy them.
You gave me some action figures over the holidays.
Oh, not those ones. Don't open those ones.
You told me not to open them. Yeah, you're like, duh.
I gave you the.
I almost opened them.
I gave you the Kenner designed but never made prototyped alien figures that Super 7 took all of the prototypes and said, "Yeah, let's make these." And they're totally ugly. They look like
you know what this is like?
The Star Wars figures from the 70s that Kenner made.
They're very cool.
80s.
It's even though I've told you a million times I'm straight, it's just like you're still giving me gay porno. Like that's what it feels like. You will somehow turn me into an action figure collector.
I give
person.
you quirky things. Like I gave you the Gordon Freeman action figure.
I actually like the Gordon Freeman one.
Which is like I give you things.
I just still don't know what you're supposed to do with them. You put them up on the shelf and then you do what? You look at them when your girlfriend breaks up.
I'm telling you, we're going to talk about CES a little bit later, and the announcement of PlayStation Now was a big deal, and we are entering this age where digital ownership.
So you like tangible things.
Tangible things, man. They're very important.
Out of the abstract.
Yes.
And we can render it, and we can hold it in our hands, and it has heft, and it has weight, and it has, what do they call it? When opposable thumbs? When you can manipulate all the arms. All the limbs are articulated.
Yeah, well, look, what did people dig out of caves when they found the roots of civilizations? They found little wooden figures and statues and idols and representations of things that mattered to people, and that's what we have always connected with as human beings. And then we transposed some of those connections. They found
some of those things. They found drawings on walls,
and they did find that too.
Which is early
and then,
television.
We got the printing press and the ability to mass produce.
We got the cotton
information and all of that stuff. But now, like the internet is allowing us to just transmit data like crazy. So there is this. Lack of ownership and definition
you're
around
waxing
people.
Nostalgic already. We've barely gotten started here.
No, but we're in this massive transition to us having no objects in our homes apart from art on the walls that define the things that matter to us.
You know what? Nobody listening to our voices right now, they might not even know if we're real or not. We might be AI constructs.
Well, yeah, Vic's Basement would not exist as a thing unless there was the internet too. Like I get all of the glory and the greatness out of all of this stuff, but the reason why I, as a mature 28-year-old, love action figures.
By the way, for 28.
Thanks, buddy.
And keep moisturizing.
I love that they represent these things that have made my imagination soar. They propelled me forward.
This is a funny thing, though, because I was a kid, and I didn't have a lot of action figures. I had Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I had a G.I. Joe, and I had and I had all the Fisher-Price little things. I guess they're not. I don't know what they are. And I would make them fight, and we'd have adventures, and I'd set up playlands and stuff like that. But then when I discovered masturbation, I was no longer interested.
Oh, you had your own
things.
little action figure.
My pants action figure. No, I mean, I don't know when it stopped, but at some point I was no longer interested in the collectible side of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'm not even making fun of you. I just don't know how you sustained that. How you made the transition from being a kid to being a grown man who's still, even when we were in Tokyo, we traveled for hours and walked in the blinding sun to get to the hot toy store.
I know, and I just unraveled all of those awesome sort of mini Iron Man figures and put them on my desk.
Did you post a photo of that?
I did post a photo.
Let's put a photo of that on the podcast this week. Okay?
All right. Okay. I know. I love those pictures. I love those little toys. I'm noticing it in my daughter already, who was I don't know if this has anything to do with the horoscope or anything like that. I'm an Aquarius and she's an Aquarius, and I'm noticing that she loves to carry around.
Your birthday's coming.
Yeah, her birthday's coming up. Mine's coming up. She loves to carry around her figure. She has a little backpack that I bought her when we were in Tokyo, and she likes to put her like a Mickey Mouse plushie in there.
That's what you do when you're two. My nieces, they take all their dolls with them wherever they go.
And I did that when I was a kid too. And I remember that even as a teenager, I used to dig having an action figure, man. It was I don't know, man.
Made you feel better?
I guess it's like my Linus blanket. In a way, right?
This is turning into a Freudian investigation.
Sure, I guess so. But
I like to take a hustler with me wherever I go.
I did go away from it. I did go away from it when I was an actor, for sure. I was broke, and I had other responsibilities and other things to think about. And then through acting and going to acting school and the pressures of trying to, take these courses and understand what I was trying to get into artistically, I also had to let off steam, and I rediscovered video games through that whole process. And I think through the reacquisition of this passion that I had when I was a teenager, I also started to look at the action figures again and comic books again, and I started to reclaim these things that had given me so much joy, and they've just gotten cooler since then. I mean, that's how EP was born, and all of this is a manifestation of the things that I found really young and just I loved, and I found them very genuine and inspiring.
The thing I keep thinking about, I know you've been with the same woman, your wife, for many, many years now. Yeah. What was the first time that your wife saw that you were a collector of action figures, and how did she react?
She was okay right from the beginning.
Yeah,
she was okay. She would play the games. I mean, we finished Smash TV together.
Not video. I mean, and I guess that was 15 years ago or so. And women had to be pretty evolved back then to sit down and play Smash TV.
But you're a kid when you're in your early 20s still, Like we were kids, and it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't, I wasn't trying to put on airs. I was still just very much into the fun of it all.
I hide a lot of things when girls come over.
Yeah.
I put all the things away. I remember I had this friend. He was a roommate of another friend of mine in Boston, and he had a girl coming over, and he owned a Dreamcast at the time.
Yeah.
So he would always put his Dreamcast carefully in a box, put it under his bed, and then his girlfriend would come over, and once she left, he'd take the Dreamcast out, set it all up again. So whenever I'd go visit, I'd see him boxing up the Dreamcast and be like, "What's Zach doing? I'm boxing up the Dreamcast." Guess what? He's getting a visit a little bit later.
I think that stuff comes out when you have a real relationship with somebody. Like when you start to really get to know somebody. And I think if people want some advice about this, if they're just starting to date with people, or if you're still
you're talking to me right now.
Yeah. Just you need to be with people that love you for the weirdo that you are, because everybody's a weirdo. Everybody's a geek. And that was another thing that defined getting this show off the ground too, is everybody is a geek. I really hit on that.
They're a geek for something.
Everybody's a geek. The minute they open their mouth, look at David Beckham. That guy is a big nerd. That guy, the minute he starts talking,
people are into, like, we don't cover knitting, but there are knitting geeks out there, right? We're not into macrame or latch hook.
I mean, you watch Pierce Brosnan was such an awesome image of James Bond. He just carried that cool and that style and that panache, and he was he did a great job when he premiered with GoldenEye. I think he was a great choice for the role. But then you see him on a talk show, and he's boring, or he's slipping up his phrasing, or he's not saying the non sequiturs that you would see and what I guess acting helped me to see that too, is that we're all just a bunch of fragile, broken individuals that are trying to portray or live up to the ideals of being as articulate as some of these things that are written for us. And perform for us.
That's why people see us on, Reviews on the Run and on EP Daily, and we're so polished. We're super cool on those shows. And so then that's why they like the podcast, though, because this is just us.
We have editors that take great care of us. And, and that... I think that was some of the stuff. My mom also gave me that strength too. She's just a 5'2", little woman that didn't have a lot of money, and she just, powerhoused her way. She raised kids on her own.
To see the TV movie of your life.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, so I had strength in my love for this stuff, and I've never shied away from it. And in addition, alongside of that, these things have just gotten so goddamn ridiculous. And now Hot Toys are like, and I'm on the Facebook sort of fan page of Hot Toys, and they keep releasing new images of all this stuff. It's like ridiculous, man. Like they have new Predators and new Terminators and new Superman. It's awesome. It's just so cool.
So see, I don't put away. I've been out there. I've been out on some dates and stuff, and girls come over to my apartment and see it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I've got a TV. It's not obnoxiously large.
Yeah.
It's a modestly sized average TV for a man my height.
Yeah.
And I've got consoles, and they see all that stuff. I can't hide that. The big thing for me is telling women that I have 2 cats.
Right.
Like that's, and some women wince and, they're like, so do they sleep in the same bed with you? Well, yeah, why else would you not have cats if
honestly,
they're not going to be in the bed with you?
If any woman is going to say that to you, it's like,
but Vic,
lost.
that's what the point that I've arrived at in my life. I just feel like, well, screw it. If you don't like dudes with 2 cats, well, then this is never going to work. It's never even going to have a chance to work. But, 10, 15 years ago, back when you were playing Smash TV with your wife and doing your courtship, like that kind of I would be like, well, there goes the person who probably was perfect for me. Thanks, cats. I would have blamed them.
Right.
I would have blamed them for ruining my life. But now it's just.
I mean, I did.
We are who we are.
Yeah, and
you're the guy who likes action figures, and
I found the person that I was supposed to be with, and we, I have great gratitude in that, that the lack of the other side perspective because of that. I was able to be with someone right from the get-go that was supposed to be with me, and she tolerated all of my weirdness, and I of her, I
had this one woman who I told her I had 2 cats. She acted like I told her I had 2 butts, something that was just like I was from outer space.
But you know what? You want people to be that judgmental, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you love action figures, don't hide them. Put them out there, because you want to know
Put them right on the coffee table.
Absolutely. You want to know if these people are going to put up with your shit. And if they're not, you don't want to find that out later. You don't want to have to kind of fight for your little stupid victories along the way. You want to know right away what kind of friction you're going to get out of cohabitation, because that stuff will destroy you later on. You'll walk around with all kinds of and the way that it works in our household is my wife has control of the house. She gets to do everything she wants.
Oh, I love it.
Except Vic's basement.
For the first date I go on with any woman, I just let a big ripping fart go. And I know then everything I need to know about our future.
Right.
If she can put up with it, and we're good.
Yeah.
So far, no one has put up with that big fart.
I now see what the issue may be.
So I got something to tell you. I'm a man with 2 cats, and I just. All right.
No, you got to be who you are, man.
I love it.
I love action
We got deep
figures.
here right off the bat. This is the beginning of the podcast. So do you want to talk a little bit about CES? I have a little CES story to tell you. I've told this story before. It's a story that involves you.
Yeah.
You and I had just met a couple of years ago.
Yep.
We were at E3.
Yep.
And then a few months later, we found ourselves at CES. I believe it was the first and last CES that either one of us attended.
No, I've been to a couple since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were there, and it was the year when everybody was combining MP3 players with tasers. Like, for some reason, this is what CES. It was the year that Namco had announced their partnership with Star Wars.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember we were at an event where they were talking about how you could, fight Darth Vader and all this BS.
Yeah.
And remember you said something. You said, I don't give you enough credit on the show sometimes, but you've said some smart things over the years, okay? I'm just going to say this once, so I want you to hear it. And this was one of the smarter things you've ever said. You say a lot of smart things. I'm just kidding. But you said, the video game world, even if a game is bad, it was made with passion. But here at this Consumer Electronics Show, and I'm paraphrasing, there's just so much stuff that's just so hollow and shallow and heartless and soulless. And I thought about that. I still remember that. I mean, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
And I've always felt, empathy towards people that only talk about tech. It used to kind of baffle me about Leo Laporte's passion for all of this stuff, because I find that there's a finite number, and frankly, that's what's great about humanity, is that we each find our own passions and our own way to communicate around stuff. But I find that personally, for me, we do talk about tech, and there's lots of tech that excites us for sure, but there is a finite amount of it, and there's so much duplication or so much Me Too-ness, or you just add a little feature here and you tweak the
taser.
The corner. Yeah, you add a taser to an MP3 player, and it does get a little silly. And I find that if that would be, like, personally for me, if that was the only thing I did as my beat, I think I would go a little batty. And video games, I think they start from a connection to technology, but they start from a desire to be crazy with new art.
Let's tell a story, and let's do it in an artistic way. At least you hope that's the way it starts.
And I think that, we'll talk about that.
Well, every year, I look at the CES coverage. We didn't go, but Marissa Roberto is there on the ground.
And it is fun to go.
Reports. I have no desire to go.
No, it's fun to go if you've never gone.
Yeah,
and if you're, it's a cool place to go, but it's not E3, and it's sure as hell it's not Toy Fair. And this is the thing, I'm spoiled. I've been to all of these best events, right? Toy Fair is awesome, and E3 is awesome. Comic-Con is amazing. Comic-Con is something I encourage, and I don't want you all to go because it's already too crowded. But if you've never been to the real San Diego Comic-Con,
you know what? I'll sit out this year so someone can go.
It's amazing. It's an incredible. That's the mecca of fun.
So, listen, for you it is. For me, it's not for sure. But I go to CES. The one thing I'm looking for, I want a robot butler like they had in Rocky 3.
I think you can get that.
And if they don't have that, then I'm not interested.
I think they didn't the Arthur movie have something like that?
Maybe the one with Dudley Moore. This is the thing. Is this seems like all the coverage this year was all about those parrot drone things. There's all these helicopter things that you control with your smartphone. There were a lot of tablets and
phablets. Which
my
wife flatly refused to let me buy one day, by the way. Yeah, we were in Brookstone or something like that, and I'm like, oh my God, I want one of those.
Yeah.
She's like, you idiot. You would never use that goddamn thing. You would take it home.
I love when you do Marcy's voice on the show. You idiot.
Well, she's right, though. She doesn't call me an idiot, but that's the way it sounds, when someone's telling you your idea is shit.
When you're a 25-year-old man who's being told by his wife that you can't have.
And she was right, though.
My niece got one of those things, and she was just driving it into the ceiling. Yeah. That's all she was doing over and over again.
Yeah.
Driving it around
Well, these
the house.
parrot things are more sophisticated than that. You can put cameras and stuff on them.
But it seems like there was a lot of that. There was a lot of big curved TVs this year.
Yep. I like those.
I know you like those.
Yep.
There was a lot of what else was there this year? What else did you see in your coverage?
There's the LaCie, the spherical ball. This is the hard drive company.
Oh, wearable tech. That's
and wearable tech,
watches
of course.
And glasses. 3D printers are a big story this year.
Again, yeah.
But for you, is there anything on your wish list? Anything that that would go on your crave list?
Oh yeah,
from CES?
hell yeah. I mean, I'm excited about PlayStation Now. I think it sounds awesome. I mean, I think. It was a bit eye-opening to have a 50-gig game to download with the NBA 2K14, which I did to the PS4 and the Xbox One. It made me realize that, wait a second, this digital-only future that we know is coming doesn't feel so now, So PlayStation Now, it sounds as exciting as hell. But
you know what?
Knowing my bandwidth and knowing,
no, you'll be fine.
I don't think
You're already
so.
worried about these things.
I think I think what this generation of PlayStation Now is the beta test for whatever comes next.
How cool?
Yeah.
Would it have been, and how locked up would things be by Sony if they ship this day one with the PlayStation 4?
Pretty
How
rad.
Incredible would that have been?
Well, I think
Microsoft
part of the messaging though on it is that
water.
Yeah, but part of the messaging on what this service is that you won't need a PlayStation 4, right?
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to play it you can't play it on your tablet.
You can play it on your PlayStation 3.
Okay.
I mean, and I was joking about that at E3 last year. It's like, well, what your PlayStation 3 is your PlayStation 4. If you can download games, I mean, You're talking about a fidelity difference. You're not talking about an interoperability difference. It's the reason why you need that bandwidth is so that you can send command signals back and forth so quickly and not deal with latency.
I think it's interesting, but again, it's just like we talk about this stuff and it's all in the abstract, right? Yeah. We're talking about bandwidth and we're talking about games being ported to different screens, but again, it's just
Remote play works, though. You haven't tried that yet.
I want to see the games.
Yeah,
I want to see the games.
Well, these
are
always
all the conduits.
Thing.
I get it.
This is always your thing.
Show me something I haven't seen before.
Yeah, and when we talk about technology on the show, it's like, I just want to know what I can use it for.
Yeah,
but I think it's a two-way thing, right? Like the game makers, they need their Carmacks to come up with stuff that allows them to furnish the dreams that they have. And it's always a bottleneck from the creative artistic side. And I think that games have been defined by that for too long and hampered by that for too long. I think there's been a bit of a shift in that with all of this indie development and sort of going back in time to pixel art and rudimentary flash animation and stuff like that. But there's still a real necessity there for technological innovation and technological back-end stuff to allow for this medium to flourish.
It is so funny. It does seem like we've done, over the last couple of years in particular, a lot of looking back.
Yep.
A lot of pondering where games have come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you do that in any medium before you figure out what the next big leap is.
Yeah.
And I think it has been a time when we have plateaued a little bit. We've taken a lot of these genres as far as we can take them. Driving and racing and driving and first-person shooters and things like that. And even all the sports games have all plateaued really. And we're making incremental improvements to all of them, but we're not really breaking new ground.
The way that we are changing the way that we play these games.
Yes.
Yeah. Watch Dogs looks like
I don't know.
It is going to ratify, like with its connectivity stuff, and it's looping in your friends in these interesting ways.
It doesn't look like a game I haven't seen already, though. It doesn't. I want to see something I haven't seen. And maybe I'm asking too much.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I think what is being tipped at and suggested when you have a service like PlayStation Now is that the computational needs of a console or a PC or a game machine of some sort
goes out the window.
We don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need it.
We don't need to think about that anymore.
It's just the screen.
Yeah,
any screen.
And frankly, we have just sort of ripped open the possibility for the theoretical PlayStation 10. Like we've just gone to shared computational horsepower to make whatever the hell we can think of.
What about if the PlayStation 10 was a space station that orbited Earth that was just one huge CPU?
Well, if it's all
virtual, we're games talking all over the world.
We're talking virtual consoles. Like Netflix is going to be delivering 4K streams next month. They're just flipping a switch.
I don't know. I don't see what the big deal is.
Well, it's 4 times the resolution of what
Is it going to make
HD.
Cheers look any better?
Cheers will not look much better.
I did not think so.
No, it will not make Cheers look better.
I rest my case.
I think the only thing that will make Cheers look better if it's a holographic thing that you can walk into.
If I can finally feel Rebecca's boobs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's more pixels. That's all 4K is, right?
Yeah, but 4 times the pixel density, and it's a huge...
How much better? HD looks pretty good.
It's better.
Jesus.
I mean, when we go see the movies, we go to the movies.
Yeah, they're beautiful already.
They are, but you know what? We've taken a step backwards as we've made this digital thing because we can see the little dots in the faces.
Are we going to be broadcasting EP Daily in 4K? Because I don't want that.
Yeah, within 5 years we will be doing that. We will be doing that. Because we are going to have incredible... procedures,
multiple procedures. I'll be wearing my full woman suit by then. I don't even know what that means. Silence of the Lambs reference. Listen, so CES, the big story, PlayStation Now, but the other big story, one that I'm much more interested in.
That's what I'm excited about.
All the Steam stuff, like all the Steam Avalanche, all these Steam boxes are coming in all different shapes and sizes. Some of them look cool. Some of them look like they could be orbiting the Earth. They look like
satellites. Did you see the Gabe Newell footage though? Of him just with a microphone and engulfed in purple light just shining right on his head, and everybody's shooting it off of fucking cell phones and stuff like that. It's like this is like the possible tipping point to this whole new way.
This is how it happens. This is how it looks.
But it's pathetic.
It's fine.
It's
That's how it should look.
Why can't we, this industry, why can't we just get up and like really make a scene at CES?
We're not Hollywood, man. We don't do drama. We don't present ourselves well.
We're better than Hollywood.
We're nerds.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
We look like
better
Gabe
than
Newell.
That. What's that?
We look like Gabe Newell.
That has nothing
All
to
we
do
need
with
is purple lights on
Everybody
us.
running Hollywood looks like Gabe Newell. They just wear a suit.
Well, they don't let the Gabe Newell looking people host the Oscars. They don't let them make the announcements.
No, I know, but when they go to an event and they talk about their properties and their future and their legacy and their brands and there's a pageantry.
I
and
hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean? There's
a
little bit of love in the presentation.
If the news is good, then it speaks for itself.
Right.
We don't need the pomp and circumstance. We don't need the production values. We need Gabe under a purple heat lamp, standing out there.
That's what it looked like.
Sweating.
I mean,
delivering his Steambox news. Now, all these Steamboxes, I feel like I want them all. I want to sit in a room and I just want to be naked with all the Steamboxes. They're beautiful.
That would be a steamy room.
That room. We should do that. We should put all the Steamboxes in a room and let people run through.
How hot is this room?
And charge $5 per run through. But they're all cool. They've all got little bells and whistles. They all look like things that are ripped off of the Death Star consoles. You know, I mean, so cool. And I don't know what the difference is between one or the other. Some of them have more powerful CPUs. Some of them have purple lights and orange lights.
I mean, this is the thing. This is like, they said F you to Microsoft.
Good.
They earned their money from Microsoft. Gabe and whoever started Valve. They became millionaires, and then they went and started Valve to build games, and it's kind of analogous to the Ray and Greg leaving the medical profession to start BioWare. So they leave the corporate culture of Microsoft to go and build this game studio. They strike gold with Half-Life. They build an amazing masterpiece with Half-Life 2. Then they build a digital streaming solution way too early.
Way too early. I remember the first time I heard about Steam, I thought these guys are crazy.
And
this is crazy.
They're renegades, man.
Nobody
and they've
wants
just
this.
done everything that they've just done on their own terms.
Yep.
And now they're going to, go up against these massive consumer electronics giants. But they've partnered with other massive consumer electronics giants to create consoles for television.
The problem is, I feel like it's
poor Ouya.
Well, just crushed underneath the boot, right? Totally, the Ouya's gone. But I feel like the messaging for the average consumer is lost here, because I do think that there is some appeal to, that's the idea. Get Steam into the hands of someone who doesn't really know what Steam is.
Yeah.
And because there's so many different makes and models, and there's so many different specs involved, and it's expensive. Like, it's not really accessible.
Well, you can get in and start playing at $500.
Yeah,
which is what an Xbox costs.
Right.
But
still, that's a lot of dough.
It's a lot of dough, and it's also not a PC. It's a Linux Steam machine, so it will run Steam. That's it.
Do they still make PCs?
They still make PCs, and you can get a PC for not much more than that. That will also do a lot more things.
Yeah.
And run every game, because right now Steam as an OS
and pick up lots of malware and spyware.
You can get all of that, right?
More and more slowly.
No, but Steam as an OS,
from
what I understand, it can't run every single.
But this is the problem. It's
it's
taking all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the problem that consumer electronics has always had, and Apple was the first one to really crack it.
Yeah.
Take all this stuff, all the jargon, all the specs and everything, and boil it down into a package that everyone understands. And I feel like the announcement about all the Steam boxes is a step towards that, but we still have about 10 or 15 steps to go.
Well, and PlayStation now, I mean, those are the three, right? It's these bendable walls of screen technology, which is what we're talking about when we're at 85 or 100-inch televisions. It's streaming content, digitally delivered, and it's expandable horsepower and stuff like that to run this material. But I think what we're looking at is a clean, empty shelves, clean, small living rooms with wall size. I mean, we're talking Total Recall. We're talking the apartment that Schwarzenegger lives in, where he's got this giant wall. And we'll have wireless controllers and and everything that we want to play or watch will just come in.
I like how you use all the shows, all the platforms we have to basically just design your dream space. That's all. That's all you do.
Well, this is called Vic's Basement. I've just envisioned what Vic's Basement will look like.
You do.
That's why action
mention
figures.
Minority Report all the time, and these clean walls.
Well, that's why action figures are important to me.
Controller.
I don't want clean walls. If I can't have...
I like clutter. I'm sorry. I'm not boxing up the Dreamcast.
Good. Don't do that.
No.
But it is... they are trying to streamline our whole damn world. But I want to talk about in-app purchases because they've been making me...
Should I just sit down for a minute over here and let you go?
No, I want to ask me.
Okay.
And talk to me about it.
Now I've noticed... We went outside today.
Yeah.
And we shot... on Granville Island here in Vancouver. Now, this is the 40 days and 40 nights of rain. We should be building our ark.
Yeah.
But instead, we're making television.
We're building
we both
our
froze.
art.
We're building what?
Our art.
We're building our art. All right, that's
so to speak.
So we were outside and we were talking about a game, Halo
Spartan Assault.
Is it Spartan Ops or Assault?
Spartan Assault.
I don't even know what the name it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you found out that there were some in-app purchases at work there, and all of a sudden your face got all red, and you started breathing hard, and your ears got red, and that's when I know you're really mad.
Well, there's a difference between I'm of two minds of this. Okay, DLC and microtransactions built into titles that already cost quite a bit of money. Can, depending on the quality of what you're spending on, can be upsetting or not. But the free-to-play model right now is really driving me crazy because
tell me why.
People are spending time, which is more valuable than money, playing shit. They're playing garbage, and they should know better. And they're not allowed to know better because they're spending all their time playing garbage, and they're getting addicted to things that are not good for them. They're getting addicted to junk food games that are just candy coated, and Candy Crush is one of those terrible pieces of junk that's out there. And Farmville, I loop into that, which are based on other people's concepts, which are based on stolen ideas that have been purposed a little bit or tweaked a little bit. And certainly you can point at tons of examples throughout the history of games where people have always done that. But now it's egregious, ripping people off, not just of their, piece by piece or sometimes huge, cash investments or bit by bit cash investments, but more importantly of their time to look at other content that's out there. Because, that could be someone's game experience that will placate them, and now it's time to turn on Duck Dynasty, which is another tirade. So I just feel that by game companies that call themselves game companies that make money this way and then don't invest in things that further the art form or the medium, they're killing this medium. They're killing people's... Because at one point, I think in most people's lives that do this, and this is their sole sort of entree into this world, sure, it could make a company rich, and that's great. That's awesome. Great success. But at some point, that user will come to the realization that they're wasting their life, and they hate this experience, and they're going to pack it up. And they're not going to go, you know what, I really need to get into something else that's really cool. Let me see if there's something I can spend my money on. They're going to think games are stupid.
This is Victor's first rant of 2014. Listen, what's the difference between what you're talking about, this user experience that gamers are having out there, negative experiences, and the person who decides that they need to sell their level 80 WoW character because they need to get back to their regular life? Like, Blizzard's just as guilty as anybody.
I think there is a pernicious games sucking people's lives and dollars out for as long as they possibly can. I think that is a bit of a... trying to lift little dollar bills out of people's pockets all the way along. I think that is a...
That's what we do in a capitalist society.
Yeah, but it's also a detrimental part of this business. And I think that what that means is that there becomes less of a value attached to the art that's been created in the first place.
But listen, you're like the people who invented film.
Yeah.
saying that film should be used to tell stories and artistic things, but instead there's pornographers out there who are using film to play on people's most base desires. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I just think it's just part of our media.
I would liken it to pornography for sure.
Yeah, but I
absolutely.
think you can't stop it. The other analogy that comes to mind is when bureaucrats and government officials try to regulate junk food in stores. People need to be given a choice. Here's the healthy food section. Here's the shit food. You decide for yourself. That is up to you. It's free will. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think you can't. I think that thinking that people are going to judge games and dismiss games because they had one bad experience I think that's...
Well, there's two elements to my anger here, though. There's the amount of money that's being made by companies that are doing this sneaky bullshit.
Pornographers have been making billions for years.
I know, but I care.
And what's sneaky about it? I think anybody who's a fool enough to give their credit card to somebody over the internet, they deserve to have their wallet lifted. Like, don't be stupid.
Well, I just see great studios and great craftspeople.
I know,
and great people that love this medium, that want to see it.
I'm with you.
Flourish and want to leave an imprint. Just give up.
But you know what? Then maybe they made a bad career choice at some point, because there are a lot of people out there who haven't given up and who are still fighting the fight and winning and making great games were made in 2013. A lot of shitty games were made, and a lot of money was spent on free-to-play and in-app purchases and stuff like that. But again, I do feel like this is just part of the life cycle of this medium after 60 years, however long we've been around now.
Yeah, I know we're defining it. I know. But I think we, the passionate folks that believe in the future of this thing, there needs to be, what I hate seeing happen again and again and again is that games get no value. And, frankly, these Steam sales don't help either, Just this idea that there's no worth to games. There's no value attributable to it. There's the $60 thing is a slap in the face to most people. It makes it such an inaccessible luxury item that nobody wants to take that risk, and everything is just hard-nosed, anger about how many hours you get out of that cost, and how much are they ripping you off for the DLC, and it's it's setting itself up for all kinds of bad vibes and bad blood. Instead of the business saying, "Look, this is a work of art that we are giving to you, but there's a price for it, and it's a reasonable price for the amount of value you get out of this." And everybody has to make that equation, and has been making that equation. And because it's been out of whack from the beginning, with this price barrier being so high, the exact inverse has happened, and now we've said, well, you know what? Let's just do it all for free. Let's go the other way, and we'll just pull people's money out that way. And so now people have no understanding. I think the general population out there has no understanding of what is a good game, and what's a good price for a game, and what's a game worth. Listen, and what does it take to make a good game?
These are all terrific things to ponder, and all of those questions will be answered. And I do believe since the dawn of time, people have been making stuff and pouring their heart and passion into things that were ignored. There were awesome things that were ignored for whatever reason. They were born at the wrong time. They came into existence at the wrong time. They didn't connect with the right audience. We've neglected, countless works of art over the years, and I'm sure that, the way things are going right now, the way that we're trying to. The thing that gives me hope is the fact that I feel like we're trying to figure it out. The other thing I keep thinking about is HBO. In the beginning, the idea of paying for a channel on top of your cable that was going to give you something more. All I can remember as a kid is that you could see boobs on HBO. And was that worth an extra $12 a month? As a 12-year-old kid, I think it's worth an extra $12 a month. But now HBO, over the years has had to give you more reasons. And I think for the most part, maybe True Detective, the new show is a bit of an exception. But they've delivered quality content and timely content and terrific documentaries and great TV series. And they've had some of the best moments in television history. Yeah. And I feel like we're going to get there. I feel like people are going to figure it out, whether it's going to be a subscription service, whether it's through PlayStation Now, whether you pay one fee and you play all the games you want. We're going to get to some point where it's all going to start to all the pieces are going to start to fall into place.
Well, and I guess my exhaustion and my anger and my disappointment.
Have you ever spent any money on any in-game app purchases? I've never spent a dime, not one penny.
And now I find myself, I hate those games. I hate them. I hate that there's a whole model built up around that stuff.
If you're playing Plants vs. Zombies 2 and you're having a good time and you want to spend a little more money on it, I don't know. I don't see what's wrong with that.
It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts, that whole model. Because it creates this illusion that this is the pathway to success. And I know everybody's just trying to.
I don't think anybody's
trying to kind of figure out what this model is, but I mean. My disappointment around all this is that I have wanted more people to play games. I've wanted more people to love video games. And that's starting to happen, but they're playing shit. I want them to play The Last of Us.
There are lots of people out there.
I want them to play awesome titles.
There are people who are doing that because you asked them to do that.
Yeah.
For sure. And there are people out there who are trying games for the first time, even right now, even as we're talking. And they're having good experiences and bad experiences, but I mean, they're going to find their way if they're going to see what's good about video games, and at some point they're going to.
I don't think they will. I think they're going to get lost in a Candy Crush fucking haze, and that's going to be the end of it.
You sound like me. Jesus Christ!
It drives me nuts.
It's okay if they play Candy Crush if it gives them a little jolly. That's fine. It takes them away from.
They
their
don't even know what
a
a jolly. It's like an addiction.
Well,
man.
Not everybody wants to play the fucking Last of Us. It's a burden. It's a 20-hour game. That's a drag. All right, I loved it.
Yeah.
But it's not for the world.
Okay.
It's for us.
Then let's pick more, or let's build games that will reach more people, that do have a cost, that are the full meal deal. When you pay for it, you get the whole thing. Maybe isn't $60. That, I don't know what that is. I don't make the games, but I want more people to play great games. I don't want more people to play junk.
What's
that's my anger.
I do love it. I love seeing you like this.
Yeah.
What's the company that makes Farmville and all that shit?
Zynga.
Yeah, look. I mean, look at that. Look, I think if you should be heartened by anything, it's to look at the struggles that they've had.
Yeah.
Like I think people are playing that stuff. People are on Facebook. People are clicking all the shit. People will always do the mindless thing. But I think there are lots of people out there who want more and who are seeking out more and who are finding more. I mean, what's the difference between playing Candy Crush or playing Tetris 30 years ago on the Game Boy?
Well, I think just from a practicality standpoint and thinking about jobs and thinking about corporations that fund development on this stuff, if these things become the de facto or the standard way that stories get built or game development sort of
it's
works,
all in flux.
We will see more and more and more. I mean, that's how this business has always been. If there is this thing that's bubbling, that's successful, more and more companies just emulate that and
the Wii shovelware. Look at that.
I know.
We had all kinds, and look what it didn't help anything when everybody went out and bought a Wii, and then they had a million shit games that came out for it. So, I don't know.
You think we'll just siphon through all this junk and then we'll get...
I do. I don't. I mean, I don't think we're going to... I think we've been, it's not been the most flourishing period in video game history. It feels like we're having some growing pains.
See, I would like to play some B console games, I would like to play more God Hands, and I would like to play some more Okamis and things like that, those aren't Bs, but those are just my examples right now. But I would like to play some Risks that are quirky and not great. Maybe they're 7s or 8s, but I want more of those on game machines. But I don't want those as free to play.
I love this. It's like we've switched hats today. I love this because listen, I think there's never been, and I know you've been saying this for 5 years that I've been here. It's never been a better time to be a gamer than right now. You have all the new consoles, but you also have very, very cheap, accessible old consoles in the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and the huge catalogs for both of those machines. Hell, you could go back and pick up a PlayStation 2, and you could just play games for the rest of your life and never even have to worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's an embarrassment of riches out there. And you can go to any game store, go to EB Games. That's a good game store that comes off the top of my head.
We love you, EB Games.
You could go to EB Games and buy these things. You can buy them on the internet. You can collect them all.
Well, I want people to keep doing that. That's the other thing too. I mean, I love the idea of PlayStation Now, but just the ease of use and being able to just sit there and just start streaming and playing anything. But the other side of it, like the concept of these things not having any value again. That you could just sort of start a thing and just go, oh, bloop, I'll just get into this other new thing here, or bloop, I'll just throw this thing down. You don't even have to throw anything down. You just sort of press a button and you skip out of something and then you go back into something else. Again, it removes this validity to this finished product, this this value, this there's a worth to this work.
Well, if you think about the way we used to game, and we don't really do as much of this kind of old style gaming as we used to. We used to have to sit in front of the TV, and we used to have to hold a controller in our laps, and we couldn't leave, and that was your gaming experience. And now, I mean, if you want to be really cynical, like PlayStation Now pumping that to all different screens makes it feel even more disposable. Yeah. You know, I mean, we don't have to worship at the altar of the TV, and we don't have to make it this moment of reverence where we just sort of sit in awe of The Legend of Zelda. Yeah, we don't. And that's the thing. How many times, if you're going to be honest, then when we're playing video games and a cutscene comes on, what do? You look at your phone.
I know.
I do the same thing. If I'm watching a TV show and it gets a little boring, I'm looking at my goddamn phone like a fool.
But this is the thing, too, is that if we just give in to that forever, is that the games that we're going to get forever? Is that what is going to happen? Is that people are just going to say, you know what, we can't compete with everybody else's ways to be entertained and engaged, so we'll just have to make things that people skip and they don't pay attention to.
Have to get to the point where they're so good,
right?
You can't ignore them.
Like The Last of Us.
Yes, and I was not looking at my phone. I was on the edge of my seat every step of the way. I had to take breaks and walk around the house and shake it off, because that was a game that grabbed something inside me and squeezed and didn't let go until I was able to get up from the chair and go back to my life again. And I want more of that shit.
And I know that there were lots and lots of people that glommed into the gaming space, either with the old arcades of the 80s or the Nintendo games of the mid-'80s. Like they loved the Mario titles. And then the new machines started to get all 3D and much more sophisticated, and 3D controls became a part of the thing, and analog. And they walked away from it thinking, oh my God, this is all too crazy. And I think some of those folks came back to touchscreen because it was relatively simple again. And maybe there is a case to be made for there needs to be some simplicity and some easier ways to enter these experiences that are more engaging to a broader group of people out there. And I don't necessarily mean it has to be about complexity in terms of how to operate these things, but I think if we want games with budget and heart and intellectual sophistication, we have to place a value on them. We can't just keep thinking of them as this disposable art form, that is just a diversion, just some kind of fad. And
no, I don't. I think we're way past the fad point.
I don't know.
But listen, let's talk about one last thing, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. From CES, do you think
you and I are past the fad point? I don't know if the world is. That's the
we're
thing.
Not alone. There's people listening to us, people who watch the shows, people who don't listen to us and don't watch the shows who are past the fad point too. But the Oculus Rift has been getting a lot of buzz at every convention for the last 2 years.
It's gonna mess up our hair, dude.
Yeah, that's I know. Every time I look at the photos, I'm like, Vic is not putting that fucking thing on.
Like honestly, it's going to mess up our hair.
But I don't know if that's the answer either, because it's not the technology necessarily. It's that grabbing something inside me and not letting go.
Well, I haven't sat down to be engaged by it.
I don't want to because I'm afraid to get pink eye. Yeah, everybody else puts.
No, you get your own. You get your very own type of thing, and I can't wait to experience it because the everybody's been raving about it. Jose and Ben, everybody that we know that has played around with the thing just loves it. I can't wait, but I don't know if that's the the bellwether, the seismic change.
Remember a couple years ago we were all excited about 3D?
Yeah.
Nintendo 2DS. I rest my case.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Well, this year will be the year we get to try it. I think it might come out this year. I don't know. I hope it does. I'm tired of hearing about it. But
it
listen,
does come out this year, yeah.
Before we go, I want to start doing something new on the podcast this year. I want you to...
Are you going to sing?
I want you to break into song right now. No, I want you to recommend something. Maybe it doesn't have to be, almost like a cameo from each of us on each show. Just something we've been consuming off the beaten path.
Okay.
And for me, I've been obviously, my affinity for Netflix is long. It's a storied one. I've talked about it many times. Lately, I've been watching. I believe it's on IFC. It's a show called Maron. It's from Mark Maron. He does a podcast, terrific podcast. I always listen to it. I've been watching his show. I don't think it's not nearly as good as Louis, which is Louis C.K.'s show.
Yeah.
But it's very much in the same vein where it's almost this sort of fictional documentary about his life. Lots of awkward moments and weird pauses. And here's this man who's 50, I think, and he lives with cats, and he struggles with his personal life and his ex-wives, and he's got problems. So obviously, it's going to be a story that I'm gonna fall for. So if you haven't seen Maron, I believe the second season is coming up soon.
Yep.
I would recommend checking it out on Netflix. What do you got for us?
I got Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is not too much off the beaten path, but that's what I've been playing, and it's incredible.
How far are you now?
I'm quite far.
How many pirate
like 10
ships
hours
have you sunken?
I've sunk tons, and that's so fun. And I think that's why I love the game, is that when I'm sailing around as the pirate, it's ridiculously
you can feel
cool.
the wind in your hair.
Yeah, and it's different than the rest of the game. And I know that's not maybe what everybody wanted out of Assassin's Creed, or maybe they've had their fill of Assassin's Creed games. But that's what makes it unique and fulfilling. And it's so elegant, and it constantly. And I beat Grand Theft Auto 5 and thoroughly enjoyed that. And it might not have the scale of something like GTA 5 and all of the different.
It's pretty big,
but it's big, yeah. And it's such a gorgeous world, and you joke about it all the time, the beauty of the jumping into the water and all that stuff. It just constantly amazes me how gorgeous it is.
We didn't even need to take vacations last year. We just got to spend a little time in Black Flag.
No, they did a great job. And the other thing that
wait, you're doing two? I didn't know we were doing two now.
The other one is Tangled. I just saw Tangled because we wanted to pick something that my daughter would watch and could watch, and there is a little bit of fighting, and she's like
she's got to see some fighting.
She's only 2, she's only going to be she turns 2, so we feel apprehensive about showing her anything, but we've shown her bits of this movie, and she's now been asking for it twice, and she knows to call it good. Tangled, and it's a great movie.
Great movie.
It's a great. It's Rapunzel, and it's like a modern musical version of Rapunzel, and everybody does a great job in the thing.
Now, I know you know this already, but next week we are in Montreal.
I know.
We got a special secret trip that we're going to take. We're going to record the podcast from Montreal.
Yes, we are.
And you know what? I think we should probably get a special guest.
Maybe we should record it at EB Games.
Maybe in the PlayStation 2 section.
You want to record the podcast at EB Games?
It might be noisy.
That'd be all right.
Come out. People might.
We wouldn't be able to swear.
What if some people who were really into in-app purchases came out and were like, "Oh, Vic, down with Vic"?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think people are with me.
Really into in-app purchases. Yeah, so
no, but let's talk about that. Let's ask EB Games if they'd let us do something over there. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Production meetings on the air. We love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a long
exhausting
discussion,
right?
Yeah. I feel okay though.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I got stuff off my chest.
I like your rants.
Thanks, brother.
I'd like to see. Let's see. It's January. Let's see 5 more rants from you this year.
Okay. All right. I'll start working on my next one.
All right.
Thanks, pal. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.